Hey there, and welcome to Monday Mentoring on the Today's Leader podcast, building the tomorrow's best leaders today. Now, our show on our episode 329 of the Today's Leader podcast, we had an amazing interview with Jeff Nischwitz, where he spoke about leadership. He spoke about so many aspects around leadership, including the problems that are associated with assuming trust in a relationship. Now, Jeff shared his depth of expertise in our conversation, and we are eternally grateful for that. And if you missed this episode, of course, the link will be in the notes of this particular show. Now, today I want to take the concept of trust a little bit deeper and bring it into our own self leadership. Now, because when we trust within ourselves, and we have belief and confidence, we see that rise with the associated trust within ourselves. Now, we've seen this play out in the recent Olympics in many aspects, but the event I want to focus on was the marathon. It was clearly evident in the men's marathon, where we saw Eliud Kipchoge streak the field. He beat second place by 80 seconds. He finished 80 seconds in front of the silver medalist on a day that can only be described as an incredibly tough day for marathoners. The temperatures were high, humidity was high. There was all of this stuff that was happening. Yet Kipchoge finished 80 seconds in front of the silver medalist. And watching the race, you could see that he was never unsettled. He never seemed unsettled. He was always on stride. He looked relaxed the whole way through. Now, we're talking 42.2 kilometers here, and it's incredibly difficult to look incredibly relaxed for 42.2 kilometers, but Eliud Kipchoge did that. And when the time came to break away from the pack, he did it easily and completely, and basically was not challenged from that. But on the other hand, we saw an Australian called Jack Raynor. Now, I've got a lot of time and respect for Jack because he's a major runner here in Australia. And I've seen him firsthand in some of the events that we've ran in, like the Sunshine Coast and the Gold Coast half marathons, for example. He's the Australian half marathon champion, and he was the inaugural winner of the Commonwealth half marathon championship. And just to cement his reputation as a runner just a little bit more, he was one of 41 pacemakers that Kipchoge had chosen when Eliud Kipchoge had the 1:59 challenge, where he attempted to be the first man in history to break the 2-hour barrier. Now, Raynor's not a slouch. He is certainly not a slouch. And once again, he's a runner that makes running look effortlessly. And for those people, including myself, that running's a real struggle, both mentally and physically, people that can make running look effortlessly are obviously top of their game, top in their field. But in the Olympic marathon, the limited shots that we were shown of Jack during the broadcast, his running was laboured and it looked totally not Jack, if you know what I mean. It just did not look like Jack Raynor. And unfortunately, Jack withdrew prior to hitting the 10-kilometre mark. So it came to light, however, after the marathon, because I was confused. Why I was expecting a pretty good show from Jack. This is Jack who ran the last, I believe, 2019 New York Marathon and was really one of the leading one of the leading packs for much of the race. So we were expecting Jack. I was expecting Jack to really make a good show of it, not to challenge Kipchoge potentially, but to maybe make top 10, top 20, which in the Olympics is a really big thing within the marathon world. But it came to light that Jack's preparation had been hindered by injury and other factors, and like so many, he made the Olympics purely on guts. Now, this was a gutsy effort just to get there, to face the starter's gun, knowing that you've had injury, knowing that I think in Jack's case, he hadn't run for about 3 to 4 weeks. So just to be on that starting line with the prospect of 42.2 kilometers in front of you, takes the mindset of a champion just to be there. So everyone on this level needs to be congratulated. But the reality is that Jack's preparation, unfortunately, wasn't ideal for the race that um, he was attempting, and our guts and resilience will only take us so far. And Jack unfortunately had to pull out prior to the 10-kilometre mark. So Jack's effort needs to be congratulated, but it is still in complete contrast to someone who had absolute faith, absolute confidence, and absolute trust in their preparation. So Jack was relying on his inbuilt resilience and guts, and on the other hand, Kipchoge just knew that his personal preparation would allow him to run the race or control the race. And it's really the same with leadership. When we trust in our own preparation and development, we can calmly and confidently work through any potential issues that we feel we may face. And preparation for leadership comes for leaders in different ways, but it could include, and I've got three areas here that you may want to think about. How is your preparation? First up, your preparation includes your own self-development as a leader. The development as a leader outside of the role that you're attempting or currently playing in, right? So preparing for the next role by intentionally stretching yourself through your own development. That's preparation. That's preparation for a leader. Getting you ready to take on the next role. Getting you the development, your own development, your self-development, giving yourself the stretches that you need now to get you ready for the next role. Another area where preparation comes in mightily handy is when we're preparing for those tough conversations that we have to have. Many leaders don't have these tough conversations, and the reality is that the more that we can prepare, the more that we can get the outcome that we need, the best possible outcome for all people involved in those tough conversations. Preparation. Often the leader won't prepare and they'll just wing it, and often that is when they go sour. So make sure that as a leader, your preparation for those tough conversations is happening so that you can make sure that you're getting the best possible outcomes. And then in one of the last area, the last area that I'll talk about is preparing yourself for those pressured times ahead. So preparing yourself for those pressured times ahead through the development of your own fitness, both mentally and physically. Now, often we wait till we're in a position of stretch and then start to think, why am I feeling anxious? Why am I feeling uncertain? Why am I feeling stressed? We may not have the coping strategies that we need. We may not have the physical fitness that we need. We may not be agile enough in our mind well-being. And these things come back to haunt us. So preparing ahead of time to have those coping strategies in place, whether it's going for a daily walk, meditation, whatever it is for you, preparing yourself so that when you are under stress, you still have your own personal routine in and around those coping and development strategies. So I really want you to think about those three areas for preparation as a leader. Your own self-development is absolutely critical. Developing yourself for the next role. Preparing for those tough conversations that you have to have. The reality is a lot of people won't have them. As a leader, you need to be having those conversations. And preparing yourself for the pressure and stress ahead by developing your own routines and your own coping strategies. That's three areas. There's certainly more. And if you're keen to be part of tomorrow's best leaders, you need to develop today. Today needs to be the day that you start commencing preparation. So let me know what you think by connecting with us over at the Today's Leader podcast website at todaysleader.com.au. Hey, thanks for tuning in. I will see you all again next time. Bye for now.